Hi, welcome to iMagician Live. You ready, guys? A one, two, a one, two. There's no band.
Welcome to iMagician Live. I'm Jamie Allan. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a big experiment for us and it's going to be hopefully a lot of fun. I'm joined here by Natalie, who is right here in our studio, so to speak, who will be fielding all of the comments live. But right now, let's get the show kicked off in style, and here is what's coming up on iMagician Live. Back. What a great show we've got planned for you, and I want to welcome our special guests. I can already hear them on the line. First of all, my right hand man, my captain. He's another big part of iMagician, helps me create a lot of the digital magic that you see and helps us stage our shows. I want you to please welcome to the iMagician Live show with a thunderous round of digital applause, Nat. Here is Mr. Tommy Bond. Hi Tommy.
Hi Jamie, how you doing?
It's all good here. I can hear you pretty well. I'm hoping that this whole system holds up live, because Tommy is actually controlling all of our streaming live from Bournemouth for us today. So let's hope. How's it hanging in there, Tommy? How's the bandwidth?
The bandwidth is looking good. Everything's looking stable, so it should be okay. Well, fingers crossed.
Time will tell.
Oh,
time will tell. And let's also welcome our other regular, our other co-host, one of my greatest friends, and also somebody who is very important to our brand iMagician, because a few years ago we created a kind of spin-off of iMagician called iMagic. In fact, we can see the poster here behind Nat, and iMagic was a very successful show for us, and the star of that show was Adam Heppenstall, and while he was there he won the Gold Magellan Award for us that we parade around as if it was ours, but it was done on Adam's watch, and he's here. Adam Heppenstall in the house.
Hey, guys, you alright?
As I'm saying this live, Adam, I'm thinking that I'm too old to say in the house.
It was a little bit too cool for you, to be fair, mate. Yeah.
I think we can just scrub over that. So anyway, guys, let's not waste too much of this viewer's time. Let's tell them what we've got coming up on the show. Adam, what have we got coming up on today's show?
Well, we're going to be interviewing the one and only Mr. Tom Crosby, the king of Rubik's Cube. So he's going to be chatting to us, telling us about what he's up to, what he's been going through the last couple of weeks, and I'm going to put him on the spot a little bit as well, so that's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's right. Tom has got quite a story to tell, and we shall get to that in a little bit. Nat, what have we got coming up on the show today?
We've got the wonderful Pete Matthews, who's going to try and attempt to break his own world record of the highest Diabolo throw. And I think we're going to find out the results later on.
Yes, we are. The highest Diabolo throw. It's a world record attempt. Pete is the #1 comedy juggler probably in the world. So tune in for a video from Pete Matthews later. Bond, what do we have coming up on the show?
We have a great friend of mine from many, many years ago, the international grand champion of magic, Mr. Greg Frewin, coming to us live from his Magic Theatre in Niagara Falls, Canada.
Yeah, it's an incredible place. I know that you've been to it, Bond, and I haven't actually been myself, but we're going to have Greg live on the show later, live from his theatre, and anybody that's a fan of magic, you'll no doubt know Greg Frewin, a man who almost needs no introduction. I will say to everybody watching, obviously there'll be a lot of magicians out there. Hello, welcome, thank you for supporting this. Also, there's a lot of general public, so please consider that, magicians, when you're posting in the comments below. Also coming up on the show, we're going to do a little bit of live magic, and we are going to talk about a couple of our signature tricks, digital art, aren't we, Tommy?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about digital art, which is one of your signature illusions, as you said, a little bit later on the show, so that should be great.
Yeah, that's good. So we're going to be going through that, and also one of our other big scale illusions, and we'll do a little bit of magic for you live. But right now, shall we get this show kicked off, everybody?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So with a thunderous digital applause, here is Mr. Tom Crosby.
Do you, Almond? Rubik's Cube. Mathematically speaking, there are 43 quintillion different combinations. That blows my mind.
This is me. I'm Tom. I'm a nerd. This is what I do. I do other stuff as well, but I think this is pretty cool. I hope you like it too.
And we're back. Please welcome to the iMagician show, Tom Crosby. Hey Tom, how you doing?
Hello. Yeah, all good. All the better for seeing you.
Oh wow, thanks so much for doing this today. I know that we've got a lot of time on our hands, but it's great to do something so productive. Now, in your introduction, I made a point to say that you're not a magician. It's not fair to call you a magician, but what you do is really, really magical, isn't it? So how do you like to be framed?
It's different on the fringe circuit and the comedy clubs and stuff. I call myself the performing nerd, but on the cruise ships, I call myself the international man of memory, because the nerd thing doesn't play quite as well to the demographic on the ships.
I can see that because I saw your show in Edinburgh, which was incredible. You know, we all talk about that story and how we became friends, because that was amazing. And I was on my way in to see a different show actually, and somebody recommended, no, you don't want to see that, you want to see Tom. And so it was a fantastic show. I was blown away by it because, like I say, it really gave you that sense of wonder. But
bless you. Thank you, Jamie.
Everything seems so real, you know, and it really does. I mean, it's difficult to describe to people because it is a lot of memory tests. It is a lot of useless facts, but it's incredibly engaging and funny.
Oh,
I absolutely, well, you know, I'm a big fan of what it is you do.
It's an odd one. I tried to kind of create my own sort of genre, as it were, you know, but by doing not magic tricks, but skills, you know, and demonstrating skills in a way that, you know, border on impossible, but still very much possible. You know, everything that I'm doing, I always say I don't have any special skills. I just have more patience and a lot more free time than most people. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've sometimes used that quote from somebody else when people ask, how do you do something? And I say, because I put more time into it than one might reasonably expect. And that's certainly true in your case.
Absolutely. Anytime somebody says to me, how do you do it? I kind of come back. I think the real question should be why. Why do I do it? Why have I put the time and effort into learning all these useless skills? But because it pays the bills now. So.
For our viewers that don't know, Tom was actually stranded on one of the cruise ships that got caught with no port to go to, but in the end managed to make a daring escape, a pretty dramatic escape in the press. And it was even in Time magazine, I think.
It was in Time. We made it onto CNN. I had a friend of mine in Canada message me and tell me that we're on the local news there. So it was... It was a strange situation. Yeah, it all ended with an emergency military evacuation from Cuba, orchestrated by the British government, which certainly sounds good. As far as we were concerned, it was a flight home after a long few days at sea, but it was certainly an experience.
Wow, yeah. I mean, that's something that you'll tell everybody about for a long time. I'm sure there's half a book and some movie rights in this somewhere.
As long as I get to choose who plays me, I'll be fine. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What are you working on now with all your downtime? Are you just practicing? Are you going to be working on some new material?
I'm working on a few new bits and pieces for the Edinburgh Fringe for this year, if indeed it goes ahead, because there is now talk of it maybe not happening. although the running joke has been that the economic impact of the Fringe being cancelled will be massive. There will be hundreds and hundreds of comedians that are thousands of pounds better off. So it's a maybe.
Now, Tom, I've seen a lot of what you do, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers are going to be split pretty evenly between magicians that obviously have an interest in this, but also the general public. And this show is for everybody, and I want them to get an idea of what it is that you do. And you said you might be able to demo something for
I'm
me.
sure I can.
Because I've seen it, though, I was going to bring in Adam.
Oh, awesome, yes.
I know that you know Adam, so let's see if I can grab hold of Adam here. Adam, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you.
Hey, Adam.
Hello, Guy. Hello, Mr. Crosby. How are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Good to see you back in the country, my friend.
Oh, nice to be back. Although I'm not too
So
keen
you're
on the
going to
weather.
show me something... Oh, no. Well, forget about that. So you're going to show me something. Show me something new, something I haven't seen.
Oh, I just happen to have a Rubik's Cube here. Let me grab it for you.
Surprise.
Here we go. So, this is a Rubik's Cube. Everyone's familiar with it. There are lots and lots of different combinations. Only one solution, and that involves peeling all the stickers off and spray painting it. But I'm going to try and solve it a little bit quicker than that. Because, of course... Oh, hang on, where have we gone? A lot of people, when it comes to the Rubik's Cube, the world record, if you're interested, is 3.4 seconds at the moment. I am not quite that fast, unless you let me cheat. When I say cheat, hopefully, I can do it fairly quickly. Bear with me. Oh, this is the long bit. So that's one. That's one, but for me, that... Oh, bless you. It's not quite quick enough. It can be done quicker, but this is technically cheating. At the moment, this looks like it's all mixed up, but it is currently... this is currently 17 moves from being solved. If I do this is now 7 moves away. 7 moves, and I know what those 7 moves are. And if I can do those 7 moves quickly enough, it looks... Frankly, as you say, it looks a bit like a magic trick. It is not magic. This is just 17 years and not many friends. Not all jokes, but watch close. Here we go. I'm going to do 5 moves in this hand, throw it into this hand, do the last 2 moves as it lands. I think it looks pretty cool. Just don't blink. That'll do. That is
absolutely fantastic, mate. Brilliant.
So, that is amazing.
That's what I do.
I've picked up a couple of Rubik's Cubes in my time, thinking, should I do something with it? I know there was a surge in it, and I saw people like you and thought, forget it.
Absolutely.
That's really kind. Well, I'm glad that I can put some people off.
Yeah, Adam's got them. Adam's got them on the shelf.
15 years.
Yeah, ever since Adam's moved into that house, I've been to that house enough times. Those Rubik's Cubes have always been there.
To be honest, you're far better off having friends and a social life. I think it's. Yeah. But yeah.
Now listen, Tom, I've got a test for you, if that's all right.
You got a what? Sorry.
You said I've got a test for you.
Well,
a bit of a quiz for you, if that's okay. Now, obviously, the Trivial Pursuit thing, and you've been memorising stuff, so I'm going to give you a quick few questions on Rubik's Cubes. Is that okay?
Go for it. I'll see what I can do.
Okay, so we're going to fire through these just quickly. I just want to test your quick-fire general knowledge. So, what was the Rubik's Cube originally called?
It was originally called the Magic Cube, created by Professor Erno Rubik in 1974.
Very good. Now, in the video footage as well that's already been played, you've already told us there's 43 quintillion possible combinations. My question to you is, how many zeros are there in the number quintillion?
18. There are 18 zeros.
18. Okay, can you give me the actual 18 numbers?
Oh gosh, I'm not sure if I can. There will be people out there that definitely can. I'm not sure I can. It's 43 quintillion, 274 quadrillion, 3 trillion. And that's about as far as I got before I got bored. Is that 856 billion?
Do you know what
856 million? I'm not sure.
It is 856,000.
Okay,
that's
yeah,
fine,
there you go.
that'll do. Okay. Jakob King solved the Rubik's Cube in 20.57 seconds. How?
Was that with his feet?
It was with his feet. The puzzle is made up of how many individual cubes?
Oh gosh, technically... hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4... no, I believe it's 18 and a central core.
Or 26, I've got here, cubelets or cubies. But Again, you win.
I might be wrong.
Named the Magic Cube to the Rubik's Cube in which year?
1980 or 1979? Oh, was it 80? Okay, I'll
stick
take
with
it.
your first answer. Well done. What's the maximum amount of moves that you that it takes to solve a Rubik's Cube?
20. It's known as God's number, and it was discovered in 1994.
Well done.
And the last question is, how many of these questions are there?
And how long before I go up against the chaser?
Well, well, this is it. You're doing very well so far. What percentage of the world's population can solve a Rubik's Cube?
Oh, I believe it's something like 3% or 5% or something like that. It's quite...
5.8.
Oh, is it 5.8? But I imagine that is... I imagine that's most of certain countries can solve them. I think in Hungary it's incredibly popular, so they're probably throwing off the average for most other countries. So.
Well done, mate. You got pretty much all of those right, so well done.
I'll take it.
I'm sorry we put you on the spot there.
No, I like
tell you
it.
what, though, Tom, that is seriously impressive.
Oh no, the whole nerd thing is not just a character. This is actually my life.
I can see that. Well, I'll tell you what, Tom, thanks so much for coming on. You take care and keep in touch with me. And I love seeing what you're working on. It's fantastic.
Oh, thank you, Jamie.
Thanks for sharing it with us tonight.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
mate.
Yeah, you too, mate. Lovely to see you. Thanks for having me, guys. I'll see you soon.
Oh, no, great. Thanks very much. See you later.
Bye-bye.
And now it's time for another regular section here on our show, the bad trick of the week. Adam.
Right, bad trick of the week. We were talking about this, and we kind of discussing the fact that every magician tends to have a box under their bed or a chest in their garage or something or other containing all the bad tricks we've ever bought. So we were having a rummage through, and we thought, well, it'd be good fun to actually show a bad trick every week. So I had a rummage through, and I found possibly my number one to kick off the bad trick of the week. Are you ready for it? Can I show it?
Let's do it.
Yeah, okay, here we go. So, right. I want you to watch my hand carefully. Nothing in the hand, nothing up the sleeves. Here we go. 1, 2. Hup. How about that? Number one, bad trick of the week. And fly!
There it is. Bad trick of the week.
Bad trick of the week.
At some point we are going to run out of bad tricks, so Adam and I thought it might be fun to extend this to our viewers. If you're a magician and you've ever made a bad purchase, which is all of you, if you've got a truly bad trick, post it in the comments below this, and if it's bad enough, we will feature it on the show. And also, I want to give a shout out to the young magicians. You know, we try to do as much as we can to help and inspire the young magicians, and we're going to try and feature one young magician on the show every week if we get any people submitting something. So if you're a young magician, what should we say? Under the age of, Adam, what should we say? Under the age of 16?
16, yeah.
And if you're 16 or under and you are a magician and you'd like to showcase your stuff, if you can make a video that is 2 to 3 minutes long, nearer 2 minutes would be great, and you want us to feature it on the show, post it in the comments below and we shall go through and choose the best one and we'll put it onto next week's show. But right now, take a look at this.
Please welcome the iMagician, Jamie Allan.
Thank you very much. I do magic with tech, and I have found that adults tend to react to new tech in a very similar way to a child reacting to a magic trick. You know, it's the same sense of wonder, but you just perceive it slightly differently. I hope you enjoy this. This one is very, very close to me, and I call it digital art. Please watch.
Next we have Pete Matthews, a comedy juggler. Now he is known for, let me get this right, the longest airtime when it comes to Diablo throws. We've got a clip of him back in the day doing this, so we're going to show you this first.
Hi, I'm Pete Matthews. We're going to do a Diablo high throw challenge here in the atrium on the Independence of the Seas.
Pete's just going to be doing a stunt here, actually.
Oh, you're joking. No, it's not a joke. Why don't you follow me and I'll show you exactly what we're going to do. So, here we are. This is the very lovely Tommy Bond. He's also going to help filming today.
How you doing? You right?
This is Tucker, great comedian. He filmed my last Diablo high throw. Okay, so this is basically where we're going to throw the Diablo. I think it's probably about 100 feet. We haven't got the exact measurement yet. Yeah, so from here, I'm basically going to stand, Diablo up, throw it in the air, and hopefully catch it.
Yes, I'm very excited, actually.
Hey, guys. That was a Diablo high throw on the Independence of the Seas.
I love that. That was amazing. Did I see Tommy there? Small world. So, his record is 4.97 seconds so far. And yesterday, Pete attempted to break his own record. So he's aiming for over a 5-second mark. And that's 5 seconds in the air. He filmed it and he sent it into us. So let's take a look.
Hey, I'm Pete Matthews. That's a bruise. That's a bruise from a Diablo. It's dangerous work, this. This is a high Diablo throw, and I'm going to catch it on the string. Oh, I'm sure that was bonkers huge. I hope you got it.
Pete, you did it! Oh my goodness, that's amazing. So does this mean we have a new world record? I think so. Pete, thanks so much for sending that in. That was awesome. Next up.
This is one of the big moments you've been waiting for in this show, and I'm sure it's the reason a lot of you have tuned in. If you go to Niagara Falls in Canada, most people go to see the falls, but there is one other major wonder of the world in Niagara, and that is the very own theatre of world champion magician Mr. Greg Frewin, and he is joining us live from his theatre in Niagara. Hi, Greg.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Oh, I'm fantastic, thanks. Hey, Greg, before we even get started, I want to bring Tommy in on here because I know you guys know each other.
Yes, we do.
Hi, Tommy.
Hi, Greg. How you doing? It's been a long time.
Oh, awesome, mate. How are you? It's great to see you.
I'm really well, thank you. It's good to see you as well.
Yeah, it's been a
while.
For
the viewers, Tommy and Greg have known each other longer than I have known either of them, so this is a great meeting. And again, thanks, Greg, for doing this. This is amazing. Thank you for giving your time up to talk to us, and I'm so glad that we could all get together. How are things in Canada right now?
Well, things are pretty good. Like most places, we're sort of shut down and sitting still, but we're taking the time to work on new material and doing things in the behind the scenes of the theater to get things ready when we start back up. So I'm a guy that's not a sit-down kind of guy, so I'm just taking my time here and using it wisely. So.
In the time I know you, I think it would be an understatement to call you a workaholic.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you've noticed in the past I'm a little bit hyper.
Yeah.
I've never noticed that, actually. I've never noticed it at all.
Well, by the end of this discussion here, you might have figured it out. But yeah, I'm not a sit-down kind of guy. So I like to keep moving, keep working on stuff. And I'm working on a bunch of neat projects right now. As a matter of fact, I'll quickly announce that next Wednesday, April 1st at 7 o'clock, I'll be doing a live show here on our stage with performers like Jamie Allan. Of course, Jamie's been really nice to help out. And each one of the performers is going to perform live in their own areas, and then we're going to like do it all here from the stage. So it's going to be really cool, fun magic show.
Oh, that's going to... I'm really looking forward to it, and we're going to post a link about that below in the comments section of this video. So if you're interested in checking out Greg's Live's show next week, please look down in the comments and we'll post about that. We'll put a poster up for that. So hopefully we can get some traction for you going from the UK as well, Greg.
Sure, and we're trying to raise a bit of money also for the Humane Society. I'm on the board of directors of the SPCA here in Niagara region, so like all places, animals are needing help as well right now. So any donations we get during this will be awesome.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and again, we'll put all that information down below this. For all the viewers that are non-magicians, Greg Frewin is a big star in the world of magic. You'd be hard-pressed to find a magician that doesn't know about Greg. And this started because he won the World Championships of Magic, which was FISM. And I wondered, Greg, you know, a lot of people dream of entering a competition like that and just placing anywhere, but to come first, you know, can you give us an idea of what it felt like, you know, that moment, you know, when you finally, after all that work, it came through for you?
Well, you know, it was pretty cool. You know, FISM was something that I always dreamed about doing, and you know, all the years of hard work, and you get there, and then it gets to be one of those. I mean, it was 5 days, because back in those days, I think there was over 800 acts that competed, because I was in Yokohama, Japan. It was great. Wow. I mean, the pressure was there, obviously. With my win, it was kind of interesting because I actually won the Grand Prix, but at the time, I guess Canada wasn't part of the affiliation of FISM, so they actually took took points off of me, and then took the Grand Prix away from me. But in the end, it was still a great honor. I mean, you know, for me...
That's kind of sad, hey? That seems like a shame that you could enter, but somebody hadn't told you that prior. You know,
well, you know, like hey, competitions, politics, things, whatever. It is what it is. Hey, look, in the end of the day, I always try to tell young magicians, it's not the trophy you take home, it's the act that you take home. And for me, the big prize was that I ended up with an act that took me all around the world. I got to meet people like Tommy, because if it wasn't for my act, I don't think I ever would have worked cruise ships and moved on to Vegas and other things like that. So, you know, a trophy sits on your shelf. The act is what takes you around the world.
So I think a lot of the viewers wouldn't know that you started out on cruise ships, Greg, because, you know, most people know you for the Bird Act, the shows like World's Greatest Magic, which was obviously a big lift for you. But then I guess for a number of years you took your show onto the ship before you ended up, you know, on land and with your own theatre for so many years.
Yeah, you know, so I had actually kind of plotted it out. Now, perfectly no, because you know, as you go through life, things turn left and right. But one of my goals was to create and build a show to get ready to come and open my own show. And at the time, originally I didn't know exactly where that was going to be or how I was going to go about it. But my goal was to have my own show. Cruise ships were great because, as you guys know, you can work on material there, and you're kind of, in a way, even though there's lay people there, as the magic world and the producers, you're kind of hidden away a little bit. So you can add little pieces in and out of the act and try to get to that point where you can start working on a full show. I actually turned down contracts because they only wanted the Bird Act, and I was trying to work on more of, you know, illusions and more of a bigger show. So I actually...
Yeah, well, we got to see a good few of your illusions on World's Greatest Magic, and I know a couple of those are still in your show, but I mean, you're creating stuff at an incredible rate. It seems every time I look at one of your promo videos, there's a bunch of new stuff there. Is that down to turnover of audience at the theatre? Are you people keep coming back, so you're constantly pushing new stuff in?
Yeah, that's part of it, and I think the other part is that hyperness I talked about earlier. I only sleep about 4 hours a night, so for me, it's like when I wake up, I don't know, it's, you know, they always say that magic's like a disease. You get it, and you know, you're hooked for the rest of your life. And to be honest with you, Jamie, and I think you're the same. I know that we've talked in the past. When I wake up in the morning, you know, I start stretching the arms and I think, okay, am I going to build today? And it's always about magic. So, you know, when I met my wife, when we were dating, we got to that point, you know, that point where you're deciding on, you know, is this serious? Where's this going? And we had a discussion one night over dinner, and I just looked at her and I said, look, I just want you to know that I'm really serious about you, and I think things are going great, but I don't want you to have to make a choice between me and magic, because that's a really tough one. So, you know, magic's something that, I mean, it's not about necessarily the turnover, and yeah, that's one of the big problems. We always have to make sure the show's current, and I've got plenty of new routines that I'm working on backstage here, but I just can't sit around and watch TV. I don't know, it's just not in my nature.
Yeah, I was going to say about the theatre, you know, because talking about ambition, and you were on ships for a while, obviously planning to be able to create this space. And somebody said to me, and it was my dad, you know, was always a big advocate of be careful what you wish for, because I know that that's come true of me. You know, sometimes we've taken on these massive projects and the amount of work we can't foresee. And you've got your own theatre, and I can only imagine with a certain knowledge what that must have taken, what that process must have been like, both emotionally and mentally, you know, and even financially, you know. I mean, how long did it take from when you first thought I'm going to do this to actually opening the doors and performing your first show in your own venue?
Well, let me start and first say that it's interesting that you say what your father's told you, you know, be careful what you wish for. One of my mentors and someone that I idolize and still to this day do is Lance Burton. And I got very lucky, like a lot of people, because Lance is just such a great guy that I got to get to know him and be able to go and hang out with him at times. And anyway, one day we were together, and I was planning on the theater, but it was still a couple of years away. And you know, we were sitting in his green room, and he says, "So Greg, what are you doing lately?" And I said, "Well, I'm working on opening my own theater in Niagara Falls." And he stopped and he kind of looked at me and said, "Be careful what you wish for." And you know, at the time I'm going, "What are you talking about? Dude, this is, I mean, it's the dream. I'm wishing for the dream." But you know, I understood now what he was talking about. You know, this is a commitment. You know, I have 60 employees that, you know, count on me, and I have to keep this ball rolling. And 15 years in, it's a big animal. You know, it takes a lot of time. You have to have a good staff, and it takes a lot of energy. But once again, for me, it's just been awesome. I've enjoyed it. You know, being here every night in the same place is just, it's so cool, right?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because, you know, I work in a variety of different venues, and my aspiration, and certainly something we're working towards, is putting the show into one place for an extended period of time. And that really appeals to me because I know that I can get the magic and the lighting and everything perfect. But you've been there, what, 15 years now? And so how does it feel? Does it feel like home to you? Is it like, or does it just, you know, how is it stepping out onto the same stage every night, knowing every single corner and where to look at every table?
So, you know, it's actually a great feeling. It went through some, you know, ups and downs, because for a while I was going, you know, at the beginning you're there, you're excited, and then you're kind of going, oh, my friends are out on ships and I miss traveling to Europe and all these other things. So you kind of go through phases, but that sort of goes away after a while. And I'll tell you something, what's great about being in a venue the same all the time, it really allows you to understand more about who you are as a personality on stage, because you're so comfortable now that some of those, you know, as a magician, we're always like, hey, or we're doing we amp our personality up a little bit more than it would be. But once you get comfortable, it's like inviting people into your home. And I think it's something that, I don't know how many people, it's probably more of a rare thing for magicians to be able to get to that point. But you definitely get to a point where you can connect a lot better with the audience, because you're inviting them into your living room. It's your home.
I can imagine. And for the viewers at home, because I know, Tommy, we've got some footage on the computer, which you might be able to put live now, of Greg's theatre. Because can you tell us just a little bit about the theatre, Greg?
Yeah, so it's 700 seats. We have it's a dinner theater as well, so we do offer dinner. We've even got booths that kind of look like the Vegas style booths. We wanted to kind of bring that old Vegas back home here to Canada, to Niagara Falls. So we wanted the theater to sort of feel like you're in Vegas. We didn't want it to be like a movie theater feeling or that nature. So yeah. And it's 40,000 square feet. We've got about 10,000 square feet that's not developed yet, but we have some ideas we're working on. So we got a couple new projects in the go.
Oh, that's exciting. That's really exciting. I was going to ask you about, because we try to create as much stuff as we can. I know that not all of the stuff always hits, but in your professional career, of all the things you've created, what would you say, is there a difference between what is the most successful, which is probably going to be the Bird Act, to what is actually your favorite thing that you've ever created?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I wouldn't say there's, let me think about that, because when you create something, you put a lot of time into anything you create. Not everything comes out good, as you probably know. Sometimes you create those pieces, especially the ones you think are going to be the ones that are going to be like, yeah, this is it. Excuse me. And then you go out and then you do it for an audience, and they're just kind of staring at you, and you're like, wait a minute, don't you get it? Look what I just did. So you never really know what the audience is going to be thinking. But I think for me, of course, my favorite has to be the Bird Act. There was a lot of elements in that act that took a long time to hone and to get to where it was. And for me, it wasn't just about the magic. I really wanted to develop a different character. I grew up watching Lance. Once again, going back, I idolized Lance, and a lot of guys that got into bird magic and manipulation did. And I think the hard part was trying to understand that even though we think first of the magic trick, okay, we got to be different magically, character is the first thing they see. You walk out on stage, the curtain opens, you're standing there, they're looking at your character or who you are. And so it took me a while to understand that I had to figure out how to be able to create me, my own character, not doing, that Lance Burton beautiful. It's to me still my favorite type of Bird Act. But
yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Bird Act. I've never met anybody that doesn't think it's absolutely world class and one that will always be remembered. But my other favourite thing of yours is the shrouded transposition.
Oh yes, that one right there. I think it's in the back.
Yeah, that's the one.
Pointing at the right direction.
That's the one.
Yeah, I got a few props.
That is an amazing effect, and maybe if you're interested, you can look that up. On YouTube, it's incredible.
Yeah, and
fast. I've never seen anything like it.
It's interesting, and actually, I do have a little back to step to what you were saying about creativity, and it's interesting because the piece that actually surprised me the most. Shroud was one my wife and I worked up on cruise ships. I built it at home, took it out on ships, and at night when the theater closed down, we would sneak down backstage and we would practice and rehearse it. Because when you don't have the knowledge of where the two of you need to be at first, it's kind of like a puzzle and you got to figure that out. But here's the interesting thing that I didn't think about earlier. The ending of my Bird Act, where my wife appears from the cage, which ended up being the big ending and became something very, very powerful, originally was put in the act because at the time I was traveling doing a few odd gigs here and there, but I was going on my own as a single Bird Act. And I couldn't afford back then to fly her with me. So I needed to create a way to put her in the act so she could come with me. So actually, of all pieces, that's the piece that surprised me. As a matter of fact, excuse me, we're at the IBM in Florida, in Orlando. I forget which year it was. It was right before going to FISM, literally like months or weeks before FISM. And no one had seen this part of the act. And I was going to premiere it for the magicians. And we were in rehearsal, and in the front row was Blackstone Jr., because he was on that night. He was getting ready to tech. And I just was in my T-shirt kind of doing some lighting tech, and I had to make sure when the appearance happened that the lighting was right for her. So I actually, and I didn't think about this, I just wanted to do it for the lighting, and I carried her down and boom, made her appear. And I remember at that moment, Blackstone Jr. in the front row, and I won't use the exact words, but he said, "Holy." And so I realized, hey, maybe I got something here. So it is interesting how creative stuff, you don't know which is going to be the powerful piece and which is going to be not.
No, it's truly shocking. Tommy, I know that you've seen the show, haven't you? You've been to Greg's Theatre in Niagara, so you've watched all this stuff from the front row.
Yeah, I've been very privileged to go along to the theatre. It was just an amazing experience for us. I actually worked out, it was I think, 9 years ago.
Oh, geez, 9 years.
And I've known you, Greg, for about 17, 18 years, something like that.
So that means we met when we were like 18?
Yes. Yeah, well, I think I was 16, but, we don't go there.
Okay.
But the theatre's amazing. Obviously the magic is second to none. Greg's an incredible performer. But he's also got such attention to detail and everything from the decoration throughout the whole theatre, even and I know Greg won't mind me mentioning this, even the chair details. They always get mentioned about the chair details.
It's funny you say that.
How did that come about?
Well, you know, it was interesting because a lot of people comment on that, and you know, that was actually, a company came in when we were getting ready to open, and they told us about these chairs, and I was like, that sounds a little cheesy. And he said, look, give me your logo, I'll create it, we'll bring them in. If you don't like them, we'll take them away. I said, well, yeah, that's a great, I mean, that, as a businessman, I'm going, okay, perfect. And I'm thinking in my head, oh, these are going to be so cheesy. And like weeks later, we're just about ready to open, and this guy comes through the door, and he plops down these chairs. We pull off the cover, and I looked at him, and I went, man, that's the coolest thing ever. And so they've been here ever since.
But I think that's really a cool thing, and it really shows your attention to detail, and it gets it great across the business side with the marketing of a magic show, etc. Because it's memorable things like that people take away. Oh, where did I see it? Oh, it's Greg Frewin Magic Theatre.
Right. Yes.
And then you've got the magic, which is just stunning.
Oh, thank you.
And the other thing which I found amazing, because I got up close with some of the animals with you, and your love for the animals is second to none, without a shadow of doubt. I mean, you really are like a Dr. Doolittle for the animals.
Dr. Doolittle, that's great.
I mean, what's it like to have a tiger as your best friend?
Well, you know, Tommy, you know, for me, it's going back to, you know, working with animals and being around. I started as a young kid. My parents, we had a St. Bernard growing up, living in the suburbs. So 240-pound dog I grew up with. I've always been around animals. My mom was a bird lover, and she had parakeets. I think you guys call them budgies, maybe. But we always had animals in the house. So when I got into magic and I started learning from a gentleman named Doug Basham, he worked with doves, it kind of became natural for me. And over the years, I've really been very strong about, you know, animal treatment and whatnot and training, and I've studied a lot. And I'm now on the board of directors of the Niagara Region SPCA, and I try to do a lot of help with them. So, you know, to me, it's important. You know, when I worked with, I had a student, Ding Yang from China, and she's fabulous. You guys hopefully will see her one day. And one of the things I had to teach her was not that she was abusive to her animals, not in any way, but, you know, there was a point where it became a tool or a prop. And there was for me, that's a disjoined feeling. You know, it has to be part of your family. So when I wake up in the morning, you know, I got to look after all my animals, which is another whole full-time job. But I take pride in it because they are my family. As a matter of fact, one of my tigers ended up with cancer. We we did some research and found out that no one had ever done any surgery at this time. And we actually, my vet went on like different vet boards, and we had decided that we'd take some action and try to do something about it. Long story short, we spent 3 different surgeries over a half a year, and he ended up going 2.5 years in remission. Unfortunately, it did come back and eventually did overtake him. But you know, we take a lot of pride and a lot of joy in making sure our animals are healthy, looked after, and we'll go to no expense because they're part of my family.
And so you'll do anything possible to help them and everything. That's amazing, Greg. Absolutely amazing.
Well, Greg, I just wanted to jump in and just really thank you. I know in a moment we're going to run a clip, but you know, it's really great of you to give your time up. I know that it's a great community spirit that seems to be bopping up around the world, particularly in the magic community, but in far-reaching communities of people getting together. And I think that this is a great spirit, and I really thank you for taking the time to join us today on this. It's really, really good of you. So thank you, Greg.
No problem, guys. I really appreciate it. You know, and you're right. It's interesting. Our magic community is a very powerful community, and it is great in these times for people to get together. So it's been a joy.
Yeah, well, I'm going to look forward to seeing you live on your show on Wednesday. But Greg, now we're going to run a little clip of a trick that the viewers at home who haven't seen you will get to see something. So, Greg, what is that?
Actually, you know what? Here's what we'll do. I got this great routine that I did down at the falls. So people might not know, if they've never been to Niagara Falls, what it's kind of like. I actually am on the hornblower, which is those big boats that go right down up to the falls. And I performed a trick with water. So not only do you get to see some magic, you get to see me right in my hometown and see the nature or the natural wonder of Niagara Falls.
Oh, great. Well, Tommy's going to run that clip momentarily, but right now we shall say goodbye for now, Greg, and I shall see you on Wednesday. And check out the link for Greg's live show next Wednesday in the comments section below this video. Thank you again, Greg.
No problem, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Thanks. Hey guys, you guys enjoying the falls? Yeah. Hey Chad, how are you? Good to see you. Hi Joanna.
Hi.
You guys enjoying the view on Blake?
Oh, yeah.
I know you guys wanted me to make the falls disappear, but the city didn't think that was a good idea. Sorry. But you want me to do something real quick?
Yeah.
All right, can I borrow your coffee?
Oh, yeah.
You done?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I don't want to make the whole falls disappear, obviously. A lot of tourists will be upset, so can I borrow your water?
Yeah, for sure.
What we're going to do is we're going to take this water, we're going to pour it down into the glass, and just like the falls, you'll see it pouring down. We won't use as much of the water as the falls does, but there you go. Now this is really cool. Watch this.
Okay.
A little prize here. We're going to take this and we're going to go
Oh my gosh.
right in the cup. But that's not the coolest part. The cool part is that I can actually place it in the bottom and you'll see it comes out the top.
Oh my gosh.
But there's a reason why this phenomenon happens. And if I come over here to you, you're going to watch. The water has actually disappeared just like that. That's pretty cool, and I'm thinking that's a really cool thing. You guys got it. Oh yeah. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day.
That's it. That's about all the time that we have. Thank you so much for joining us. We haven't finished yet. I want to leave you with something pretty special. But, you know, thank you to Tommy, thank you to Adam, and of course Natalie for helping out everything that they have done. And of course, thank you to my guest Tom, and of course to Greg Frewin. In a moment, we are going to announce our star guest for next week, and it's a big name. You're going to love it. It's going to be played at the end of our closing video. Right now, we're going to leave you with another little clip from our show. Again, the fact that you've come and looked at this and we've seen so many comments, it really makes it all worthwhile, and I do hope that you've enjoyed it. I know it's a really tough time for everybody, and I just hope that everybody is staying safe, staying well, and looking after yourselves. And please, if you've enjoyed the show, share it with your friends, and if you like to leave more comments, that would be great. If you would like to, if you're a young magician and you're interested in being on the show, please submit a video to us, etc, etc, etc. There's too much to thank. This has been a really fun project, and we can't wait to do it again. 7 p.m. GMT. That will be next Friday night. And right now, I'm going to leave you with the scariest 1 minute of my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Jamie Allan!
Thank you very much. I want to show you my reimagining of the greatest escape of all time, and it was created by this guy, Harry Houdini. And to help us, I want you to please welcome former police officer, journalist, and presenter, Mr. Alex Stewart. I shall relieve you of this bag which you've been carrying around, which is pretty heavy, isn't it?
It's very heavy.
Yeah. And it has a whole bunch of chains in here, which you were checking with us earlier today. And there's some handcuffs and there's some padlocks and stuff. And these are all solid.
Yep, they're all absolutely solid.
Absolutely.
I've checked them over.
Yeah, and also today we had a look at this tank, which contains over 200 gallons. That's almost a ton of water, and it's all held in with this lid, which is made of one solid sheet of steel. And it has these kind of luggage straps that go over here. I'll explain more about those, but give it a really good bang here. I mean, we had a good look at this afternoon, and these luggage straps, they attach to these straps, which are bolted onto the very base. And just for our audience now, you can see those really are solid. And also, this is full.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is full. It's not an illusion, and we've tried to keep it reasonably warm because I wanted you to be kind of comfortable when you go inside here. But it is full. And Alex, thank you so much. I'm going to ask you to stick around and help restrain us in a moment and keep everything real. Do you know that the average person can hold their breath for only 30 seconds? But it's around about 45 seconds to a minute that if you're under any kind of stress, you start to get into trouble. In a moment, I'm going to play you one of the only surviving recordings of Harry Houdini's actual voice, and I'm going to ask you, as he would, to take a breath with me and think to yourself, when would I start to panic?
My just the water torture cell, there is nothing supernatural about this. I am willing to deposit the sum of $1,000 to anyone who can prove that it is possible to obtain air inside of the torture cell when I'm locked up in it in the regulation manner after it has been filled with water. Should anything go wrong when I'm locked up, one of my assistants walks to the curtain, ready to rush in, demolishing the glass, in order to save my life.
Thanks, guys. That was great.
Yeah, I think it went really well for the first one. Well done.
Everything held together.
Great. Okay. All right. I'll give you a call in a little bit, Adam. And thanks, Bond. I'll speak to you right after.
Okay. Cheers,
all right, guys.
Bye.
See ya. Ta-da.
Cheers, mate. Bye.